Hi everyone, it's Mollie Mathews. I just am going to have fun this year putting out a few more videos, and you can see here some of my things to do with all sorts of story craft, and also in the back there you probably can see that's how I map out some of my books. Little post-its, that's one of my Renaissance novels, quite complicated, involved project that's been on the go for 10 years, not on the back of my door for 10 years, but I'm certainly dedicated to finishing it hopefully this year. As you know, if you've actually just grabbed my book, Claimed by the Sheik, that took me 3 or so years to finish because unlike perhaps some people that seem to have a calm, uninterrupted life, I seem to have come into this life with a lot of chaos, actually, not all of it of my own doing, but it's certainly, I love it because ultimately it gives me great ideas for stories, and it gives me great ways to also help other people that have had to transform trauma. And it's something I'll talk about in future videos, just family. I mean, so many of my characters have had really dysfunctional childhoods, and perhaps you can identify with that. So many of us, perhaps we've had people who have criticized us, or perhaps their own expectations have been higher for us or more biased towards their own well-being than our well-being, which is why I'm really passionate about my book, well, all of them really, but my book, Flight of Passion. So I'm going to give myself the challenge of narrating that book in the next few weeks, but I thought I'd just share a little excerpt with you. So I'm going to just read a little bit, just a short, let's see how far. I don't want to make this video too long for you, but just perhaps for 10, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or less. So it's from Flight of Passion. The dedication is to my partner, for Lorenzo, who brings love to life. Prologue. Growing up, Oliver was left with the impression he wasn't worthy. First by his parents, who at the age of 4 sent him to the bottom of the world. It was as if they didn't know what to do with their infinitely curious and energetic child. It was as if sending him to the most prestigious boarding school in New Zealand absolved them of their responsibility, the responsibility which was every parent's, or should be, he thought bitterly, to love their child unconditionally. Just a little note, a little aside. My dad, when he was a little boy, he was 4 when his dad sent him to be in a boarding school, well, his dad and his mum, and he spent all his formative years in a boarding school, even though they lived close by. And when he was in his 70s, he discovered that he had a sister. So, yeah, I mean, go figure. Anyway, after his run-in with a box of matches, they told him he would amount to nothing. He proved them wrong. At 16, he left New Zealand and headed for New York. It was true. If he could make it there, he could make it anywhere. With the ruthless determination he was both admired and feared for, like King Kong on steroids, he quickly climbed to the top of the property acquisition tree. He was king of the beasts, the man everyone wanted at their dreary New York parties, full of checkbook philanthropists who would never stoop to get close to the people their showy donations benefited. Parties like the one where he'd first met Ruby Diaz. Ruby had fluttered into his life like the breath of fresh air. She had lit up the room with her illuminating presence and dazzlingly rare beauty, not just on the outside, but the inside too. Her authenticity had the scent of violets, too guileless for pretense. His darling Ruby. Oliver swallowed hard, refusing to succumb to the wave of angry hurt that swam from his heart to his throat. For 3 blissful years they were inseparable, but no matter how much success he acquired, how extraordinarily wealthy he became, he wasn't good enough for the Diaz's darling Ruby. He never knew why she flew from his life, disappearing as quickly as she'd arrived. She said nothing, given him no explanation, not even the courtesy of a call. The Diaz family, and the way Ruby had callously abandoned him, reminded Oliver he would never be worthy. He was unlovable. Perhaps he should thank them for sparing him further hurt. Thanks to them and his hopeless parents, he swore never to love again, and that suited him just fine. Chapter 1. You can guess what's going to happen, can't you? So Chapter 1. Would selling butterfly lovers really free him of painful memories he'd rather forget? Common sense told Oliver Hart that Butterfly Lovers was just a painting, an inanimate object incapable of controlling him. But that was the trouble. It did control him, seducing him with its beauty, twisting his heart with bittersweet memories. He had intended to keep it, her, forever. His heartbeat seemed to almost stop as he thought of Ruby Diaz, the woman who had inspired the painting's commission. He rubbed his powerful chest, trying to ease the painful tightness that constricted his lungs as he surveyed the crowd gathered for his charity art auction. It was time to let them go, but would he ever be free? His gaze swept over the minimalist, exquisitely designed interior, lingering over the priceless abstract by Rothko adorning a charcoal black wall at Hillcrest, his newly acquired mansion, and New Jersey's most expensive country estate. Tonight, though, it was Butterfly Lovers which held in its grip women dripping with diamonds and men clad in Armani. Locked in shared awe, they clustered around the painting, studying every line, every pulsating colour. Oliver wondered if their eyes ached as his did, with a heady mix of pleasure and pain, just to stand in its spellbinding presence, or were they trying to decode the painting's hidden secrets? Like a moth to a seductive flame, his eyes drifted to the bottom of the painting. Nobody but one other person would ever be able to decipher the graffiti-styled line of poetry scrawled in throbbing orange along the bottom of the painting. Just a side note, when I first met Lorenzo, I actually painted a painting for him and I wrote something inside that painting and the theme was butterflies. So yeah, it's a little personal note there for you. Oliver wondered if their eyes